So Jeff, how about you kick things off with the beginner level?
Sure. So in your first year or two of lifting, assuming you do most things right and without steroids, most people should be able to put on something around 10 to 25 pounds, or 4.5 to 11 kilos of muscle as a male, and 6 to 15 pounds, or 3 to 7 kilos as a female. These ranges are pretty wide because there's a lot of genetic variation between individuals. However, to ensure that you're maximizing on your so-called newbie gains, as a beginner, you'll want to focus on three main things. The first is technique. It's very important to learn proper technique on a variety of different machines and free weight exercises so you can properly apply tension to the target muscles. This means using an appropriate range of motion, so the target muscle goes through a reasonably full stretch and reasonably full contraction, controlling the negative, and properly breathing and bracing on exercises that require it. Now, generally, I recommend inhaling on the negative and exhaling on the positive, but as you get some experience, you should consider bracing with the so-called Valsalva maneuver on heavier compound exercises like squats, where you breathe in before each rep and hold your breath throughout the negative and positive, releasing the breath at the top.
Second, as a beginner, it's important to focus on linear strength progression as the main method of progressive overload. This means picking a handful of so-called primary exercises and simply aiming to add some amount of weight to them each and every week at the same rep count, generally in the range of around 6 to 12 reps. For example, on the bench press, you could start with the empty bar and add just 5 pounds every week for 6 reps. Just doing this alone, most people should be able to bench their body weight for a 1 rep max before the end of their first year of training.
Thirdly, as a beginner, you want to start thinking about your proximity to failure, and once you've got the technique sufficiently understood, start learning what failure on various exercises actually feels like. This is important to set you up for success in the later stages, because even though you don't need to go to failure to make progress, if you don't know what it means to push yourself, you won't know how to judge your own effort at all. And then you risk training at too low of an intensity, especially as you move into the intermediate level.
Okay, so sometime in between the 1 to 5 year mark of your training, you should find yourself in the ever common intermediate stage of training experience.